So you might have seen by now that Disney is bringing Jimmy Kimmel's show back tomorrow night. They say they've had extensive conversations with him and they're ready to do so. But I'm not on the pro-Disney train right away. They put out this statement saying, last Wednesday we made the decision to suspend production on the show to avoid further inflaming a tense situation at an emotional moment for our country. We spent the last days having thoughtful conversations with Jimmy, and after those conversations we reached the decision to return the show on Tuesday. Number one, this is not Disney or ABC acting in good faith as if they're like, okay, now we feel good about the show being on the air. They did this because of the boycott threats by people using their voices like you at home to be angry at Disney and ABC and no longer using their products. So I don't believe that Disney or these companies suddenly grew a spine and were like, you know what, actually bowing down to Donald Trump is a bad thing. We're not going to do it anymore. Look, I canceled my Disney Plus and Hulu subscription. I know many of you at home did as well, and it will stay canceled until I'm confident that they won't bow down to Donald Trump. I don't think they can just get away with this. They can't bend the knee to a wannabe dictator and then turn around and pretend that everything's okay. Not going to fly with me. I don't think it's going to fly with you.
It's just been announced that Jimmy Kimmel Live will return to our air tomorrow. Last week, the company, you may remember, pulled the late night talk show after pressure from the FCC about comments that he made about conservative influencer Charlie Kirk's accused killer. Let's get straight to our Melissa Adon there in Los Angeles as this news breaks. Melissa, do we know anything about the deal?
Yes, so Kira, the Walt Disney Company issuing a statement following this news about Jimmy Kimmel Live returning. They just shared with us that just last Wednesday they had made that decision to suspend production on the show. This, they said, in order to avoid further inflaming a tense situation at an emotional moment for our country. The statement also reading, it is a decision, quote, we made because we felt some of the comments were ill-timed and thus insensitive. They have said that they've spent the last days having thoughtful conversations with Jimmy, and after those conversations, that is where the Walt Disney Company says they reached the decision to return the show on Tuesday.
So Disney reversed their decision and they are bringing back Jimmy Kimmel because why? What was the reason? Because of the boycotts. Boycotts work. That is the reason why they brought him back. They don't give a fuck about the First Amendment. I say it all the time. Corporations, tech billionaires, they have no loyalty to this country. All they care about is money, so you have to speak their language. You should care about the First Amendment though, because without it, you don't have any other rights. And I know a lot of you didn't start paying attention to this until a white famous guy got taken off, but they've been assaulting our First Amendment. That's what those college campus crackdowns were for. That's the reason why they're making sure TikTok is being taken over by right-wing Zionist billionaires. We need to ensure that Beijing can't control what we see, but Tel Aviv can. So good job, everybody. It worked. But you should keep boycotting Disney because they are on the BDS list. There is still an active genocide happening right now with your money in Gaza. And speaking of the BDS list, if you're an American, you should be asking your lawmakers why they were just in Israel being told by their lawmakers to ban our speech in our states. That's right, folks. Your lawmakers just went to Israel so they could get told to ban BDS across the U.S. So I'm gonna need you to wake up and care about that too. That is also a violation of the First Amendment. I made this video a couple days ago when he was still off the air and it's still relevant, so I'm gonna attach it here. Okay, so the energy that you brought to Disney, we're seeing fucking mass cancellations of Disney Plus, people's fucking Disney cruises. This is the energy, folks, okay? Now, I really wish that you would have done all this canceling of Disney as we've been asking you to for 2 years because they are on the BDS list and there's a genocide happening in Gaza. But you know what? Glad you're here. This is also a good reason to do it because there is an assault on free speech and our First Amendment in this country, and if we don't have that, we have nothing. Like, for those of you short-sighted folks that keep being like, oh, it wasn't that big of a deal, it's not that deep, they have a right. The government, the FCC chick, threatened them. That is quite literally a violation of the First Amendment. What about when Roseanne got canceled? That wasn't the government. I also need some of you to do a system update on your mental computer because this isn't the Reagan administration, okay? The degree to which the government has been captured and infiltrated by the elite class, billionaires, and the corporations is oligarchy. That's what we're living with. Some of you need to understand that your rights don't get taken away all at once. They are precedents that get set. Censorship is already out of control in this country, and this was just the latest escalation. It is a reminder of the power of organizing and what can actually be accomplished if people actually come together to do so. And boycotts are one of the most effective ways to hold people and companies accountable because all they care about is money. Like, I need you guys to remember that. We live in a capitalist, late-stage empire hellscape that is crumbling before our eyes. The only thing, let me repeat, the only thing that any of these people in power care about is money. Boycott them for firing Jimmy Kimmel, great, but also you should be boycotting them anyway because they're complicit in the Palestinian genocide. Free Palestine, fuck Disney.
We do like 160 of these a year or something, and you know, when I have the chance, it's always nice to start the show with some good news. Well, just a few hours before we tape this broadcast, we got word that our long national late nightmare is over. Because Disney announced that Jimmy Kimmel Live will return to air on ABC tomorrow, Tuesday night. Come on! Woo! Woo! Yes, sir. As well it should be. This is, this is wonderful news for my dear friend Jimmy and his amazing staff. They continue their show. That's right. You know, I'm so happy for them. Plus, now that Jimmy's not being canceled, I get to enjoy this again. Yeah. I was just, once more, I am the only martyr in late nights. Wait, unless, CBS, you want to announce anything?
I know some people are upset that Jimmy Kimmel is back on air. However, just know, you guys still have the power. We don't have to watch his show. Just like how the Colbert Show was canceled, not because of cancellation of freedom of speech. It was because he was losing money for the network. So do the same thing for Jimmy Kimmel. Don't dial in, don't watch his crap, and make ABC lose money for having him on the air, and then they will can him permanently. So there's no need to get upset. We already knew that ABC was trapped. That's why they had to pay $15 million to President Trump, because they let people like George Stephanopoulos go on TV and lie straight to the viewer's face. So can we really expect anything more from ABC? And we already know Disney went woke. That's why Disney is failing. Most recent was success with Lilo and Stitch. But overall, ever since Disney went woke, they're not doing that great. So don't get upset. It is what it is. That's what we have to expect out of these woke companies. But just know, I have a gut feeling Jimmy Kimmel is going to be like Stephen Colbert. Irrelevant, just like Don Lemon. And truth be told, all the social media content creators, they're outbeating what Jimmy Kimmel brings in viewership. So it's working. Don't get upset. Be excited in the fact that you just continue to see who is actually for the American people and who's not. And the fact that Jimmy Kimmel claimed in one of his monologues that his people are all about the truth, and he continues to push this narrative that the shooter was MAGA, just shows this guy is nothing more than a lunatic liberal that only knows how to push a narrative but not actually know how to use their brain.
Talk about the power being with the people, and the people making that clear with their checkbooks as it relates to the suspension of Jimmy Kimmel. We saw the power of the people over the last few days, and it spoke volumes, and it moved a decision in the right direction. I think that part of where we are now in terms of thinking about what the fight is, it requires us, yes, to understand that we've got this administration and this president in front of us abusing the power that the people vested him with. But we also need to understand that this is bigger than Donald Trump. You know, part of what I write about, this stuff is decades in the making, Rachel. It didn't just happen overnight.
Disney lost all that money. Mickey was like, hey guys, we gotta bring Jimmy back. You're losing my f***ing money. What the f*** is wrong with you? It was just a joke. We gotta bring him back. What are you f***ing crazy? Come on, man, get that motherfucker back. I'm losing money. This just proves that there is power in the people. Congratulations, Jimmy Kimmel is back. I can't wait to see his first joke, his monologue, because that's going to be huge, by the way. And another thing is, too, the joke that Jimmy told wasn't even that bad. Donald Trump kind of disrespected CK, you know, Charlie. They asked Donald Trump about how are you feeling about this situation with Charlie Kirk. He goes, as you can see, you see the trucks out there, you see the ballroom is going to be fixed. We got trucks waiting for the ball. He kind of brushed it off. So Jimmy was just saying, wow, you have no empathy for this man that just died. Since we bringing people back, you motherfuckers need to bring back Arsenio. Yeah. Oh, my man Jimmy Kimmel is back. Jimmy Kimmel is back. Yo, let me tell you something. I'm going to keep it 100 real quick. Late night talk shows have been kind of a little lame. I ain't gonna lie, because I'm a big David Letterman fan. I was a big Letterman fan and all that. I know Jimmy Fallon. Fallon is talented and all that, but there was something about the night talk shows that were a little boring. First of all, it was just like, I don't know, some of the interviews were a little bit boring, blah, blah, blah. See, I grew up on the days of Johnny Carson and Jay Leno and all those guys, and even Arsenio Hall, you know? But when Jimmy Kimmel got banned or got fired, I was like, that's whack. Because Jimmy Kimmel is probably the most likable dude of all the talk show cats. I mean, I love me some Conan O'Brien, though. Let's not get it twisted. But yeah, Jimmy Kimmel, everybody loved Jimmy Kimmel. And you know how it's proven? By what has just happened to Disney. They lost about, what, $3 to $4 billion? They lost a bunch of money. People were canceling their subscriptions, the whole nine. People love Jimmy Kimmel. And by the way, I will be doing Jimmy Kimmel's Club. He has a comedy club in Vegas. I will be there in October. Yo, this just lets you know the people with Jimmy Kimmel.
Tomorrow night, Jimmy Kimmel is going to return to ABC. That return tells you one thing, and that is, I believe Donald Trump lost. He hates losing. You know that. He can't stand it. He's going to do everything he can to pretend that this is a win for him, but it wasn't. It exposed him. I'll tell you how it exposed him. It exposed his callousness. A reporter asks him about Charlie Kirk's death, and then Trump starts bragging about his the new White House ballroom that he's building. A man is dead, a tragic death. Trump is talking about chandeliers. Jimmy Kimmel called it out. But here's the thing about losing. It reveals you. It revealed Trump. It revealed Nexstar. So eager to please power, they sold out free speech for a seat at the table. It revealed every politician cheering the suspension while screaming about cancel culture on cable news. Maybe they realize that you can't claim to be in the business of storytelling if you silence the people who tell the truth. Trump will hate this. He's going to rage. He will call it a win and then demand more loyalty tests from the networks and station owners. He will try to rewrite the story because losing is the one thing that he cannot survive. But like Kimmel, we will take the win. And I mean we, the American people, the people who believe in democracy, the people who believe in freedom of speech, the First Amendment.
The Jimmy Kimmel Show is set to return to air on Tuesday, which is great. We love that. They released a statement basically saying that they originally decided to suspend the show because they felt like he had some inflammatory remarks that was increasing the already existing tension across America, and that they felt like it wasn't good for the country. They also said in their statement that they had a lot of thoughtful conversations with Jimmy and that they felt confident about the show being able to return on air. Now, we all know that the real reason is because Disney was losing money at a rapid rate and they just couldn't afford to foot the bill. Now, we know that they were originally asking Jimmy to apologize to the family and to donate money. However, people who know Jimmy said that he was not planning to apologize and he was actually planning to double down on the fact that this was about censorship from the right. Now, I know y'all are going to say that I make everything about race, but I don't know if y'all remember, but in February of this year, Joy Reid, The Readout, this black woman's show, was canceled at MSNBC because of new leadership, quote unquote. And I just wonder, if folks stood behind Joy Reid the same way they stood behind Jimmy Kimmel, would there have been a different outcome? Now, again, I'm glad that Jimmy got his show back on air, but I also want to bring up the fact that there are plenty of black award-winning talented journalists whose shows get canceled and they never get a second chance. They never get heard. There's no thoughtful conversation. Anyway, just putting it out there for us to think about.
Jimmy Kimmel's going to be back on Tuesday night. Good. I hope he's funny, and I hope he does something with this moment. You have the theme of forgiveness that Erica Kirk put out there. That is one of the few virtuous things that's actually landing on social media. Yeah, it's still mostly horrible. Even reactions to the funeral and the general state of play is all just still unbearably negative because that's what sells. And Jimmy is in a unique position. And it's Rosh Hashanah, which is Jewish New Year. You say Shana Tova, right? For the new year, but it's all about forgiveness. It's about forgiving what was done to you, and it's about forgiving yourself for what, you regret and what you did. And the theme all takes us to the same place. I like that Jimmy Kimmel's night. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does with the opportunity. I thought there was a chance that he was going to go on an FU tour and become a big digital outlet to counter the right. And I think he could do really well doing that in terms of profitability. rage baiting, playing to the outrage, all the things that the algorithms and so many different branding campaigns reward on social media. So ABC says a lot of thought, a lot of discussions. We decided to have him back on. Now, to me, as someone, who worked at those companies, the idea that he's going to come on and double down, I don't think so. So anybody who's saying that is just rage baiting you. And I know people are saying that right now. Oh, I think he's going to, I heard, no way. No way he doubles down. You want to bet? We'll make that bet. I hope he uses the opportunity to do what we actually need, which is instead of being intent on finding ways to profit off making it worse, he recognizes the incredible need for us to make it better. Let's see.
Hey, what's up, America? Jimmy Kimmel comes back to late night tonight. Only a nationwide affiliate, Sinclair, won't show his show because he didn't apologize because he's an asshole. So as you know, Jimmy Kimmel was suspended the other day, but now he's going to come back. But several affiliates are refusing to show Jimmy Kimmel's show on their networks, mainly because he didn't apologize for talking shit about Charlie Kirk and his death. Now, the fucked up thing is Jimmy Kimmel only had about 170,000 people watching him on his daily show. Now, of course, when Jimmy Kimmel comes back tonight, there's going to be a spike in ratings because people are coming back to see the show because he was suspended. But obviously, the stale Trump jokes will take him down to about 150,000 people watching a show, more than likely by the end of this week. So I think it's fucked up how the networks are fighting so hard for people that are losing the network's money. Obviously, none of these late night shows actually make any money. If you've seen the ratings, you'll know that every late night talk show host, their ratings are in the fucking shitter. Less than 200,000 people watch these assholes' show every night. Yet somehow they're getting $20 million. It's almost like these networks are paying high dollar for total failure just because it's a government narrative that supports their left-wing agenda. Come to think of it, that seems like it's always what it's been. This is why we need the Charlie Kirk Act more than ever right now. Because it's my opinion that every television is pretty much nothing but government propaganda at this point.
By now, you've probably heard that ABC is bringing Jimmy Kimmel back tomorrow. And I'm here for that, because he never said anything hateful. And let's be clear, the only reason that Trump ordered the FCC to have his show removed was because he was talking about the Epstein files, something that Charlie Kirk was doing in the weeks leading up to his untimely demise. And I don't believe that anybody should be taken out for their political opinions. I've always believed that if somebody's going to be canceled, they should be canceled by the people, not by the government. And especially not by this flabby-ass orange dictator. The First Amendment was created so that we would have the right to express our dissent against a government, especially a tyrannical government who wants to erase the Constitution with a president who violates it almost every day. And all you right-wing people out there comparing this to Roseanne, she wasn't canceled because the president pressured the FCC, a government agency, to get her fired. She was canceled because she said something incredibly racist. There used to be a time when Republicans agreed that racism was wrong. Now it's part of your fucking platform. When it comes to cancellation, money talks and bullshit walks. And even with all the money he has, Trump ain't nothing but BS. The feds came out today with a statement about the perpetrator in the Charlie Kirk incident, and they said it was not an action of an extremist organization. This was a lone person who did this. And while I've never respected Charlie Kirk because he never respected me, my marriage, or my family, I never said that anybody should be taken out for their political or social beliefs. But I have a message for Disney, ABC, and the Sinclair Group. The damage is done. I have canceled my Disney subscription. I am no longer watching ABC. If Kimmel is on, I will watch that show, but screw the rest of your programming. And as for my local Sinclair affiliate, I will never watch your crappy news show again. This is the most amateur news hour I've ever seen anywhere. And if Sinclair doesn't return Kimmel to ABC, then I have watched my last hour of your shitty programming.
I cannot stress how much of a win this actually was. Jimmy Kimmel is coming back, and that's not coming from a Jimmy Kimmel fan. I'm a fan of his, but I'm not saying that as a Jimmy Kimmel fan. I'm saying this is a huge win. I'm saying this as an American citizen. If that bullshit would have continued, it would have been Conan O'Brien's podcast next. It would have been Late Night with Seth Meyers next. It would have been Jimmy Fallon after that, and then it would have been anyone who didn't say anything positive about him. This was such a huge monumental win, especially if you look at history and how dictators go. this was one of the points where people said we wish we could have stopped it. And we were able to stop it here by all of us just bitching and moaning until they finally fucking did something.
So ABC is bringing back Jimmy Fallon, and I gotta be honest, I really don't care. Because either way, we're winning. Like you have to think about it for a second. Jimmy Fallon averages 160,000 viewers per night. Do you understand that for the week, he's not even breaking 1 million viewers? And he is losing ABC and therefore Disney, because Disney owns them, about $20 million per year. 16 million of which is his paycheck. So yeah, I really don't care that he's coming back, because nobody's gonna fucking watch him anyway. Nobody has been watching him. Like I said, he's averaging 160,000 viewers. I mean, shit, I make, 8 to 10 videos a day? And at least half of them get more views than his show. Like just videos here on TikTok about whatever random topic. So look, here's how this is gonna go down. Jimmy Kimmel is gonna come back. He's gonna see a spike in viewership for a little while. And then people are going to go back to the normal mode of not watching late night TV. And Disney is going to go back to losing $20 million a year. So yeah, I don't care, but I figured I'd let you know.
I'm pretty sure that y'all have seen that Jimmy Kimmel got his show back. I'm just going to let y'all know, if they did it once, they will do it again. They will definitely do something like that again. A lot of people are saying that they're going to keep their subscriptions canceled. I am too. I'm not resubscribing to that one, because $20 a month is crazy. I'm not trying to hear that whole inflation thing. I'm not trying to hear that, because when this whole inflation thing is over and when prices get a little bit more stable, they're not going to lower their prices. They're not going to go back to what the prices used to be. They're going to keep their prices as high as they are now. Probably even increase them, because they don't want to give up their money for their shareholders. They never want to, and they're going to try to get as much money as they can. I'm not resubscribing to that. I don't care if you got a show back. It's the principle. It's the fact that y'all were willing to do that anyway. Also, it's not really worth it when I think about it. It's not worth it. But we're just going to sit back and wait. They're definitely going to try this again. But I personally believe it had nothing to do with the conversation that they had with Jimmy Kimmel. It had everything to do with them losing $4 billion and their stock dropping. Because the only thing they seem to understand is money. I also have to add this in. They were not just affecting Jimmy Kimmel. They were affecting hundreds of people losing their jobs. And they were content with that. I'm not resubscribing.
So the streets are saying that ABC and Disney done put Kimmel back on the air. Which, first things first, is good for Jimmy Kimmel. He didn't say or do anything that warranted him being fired or suspended indefinitely. That whole thing was a shakedown by the Trump administration and that bald-ass keyboard elf Brendan Carr that he got running the FCC. But with that being said, let's not get it twisted here. This only happened because of two things, right? The first thing were the boycotts. When I say y'all people was out here standing on business, big business, I fuck with it for real, I really do. $4 billion in 5 days? I know Bob Iger had to be sitting there in his fucking office shitting bricks. Because what do you mean everyone is canceling their subscriptions en masse? What do you mean they're canceling their cruises, their vacations? They're not coming to the park no more. What do you mean some lady somewhere had a $150,000 Disney wedding that she canceled? Like, I knew and expected backlash, but I didn't expect it to that degree. And I love that I was wrong. Oh my God. So that's reason one. They was bleeding out their pockets. Reason number two is very clear, cut and dry. Jimmy Kimmel was gearing to sue the absolute shit out of Disney. He was preparing to file a $1 billion lawsuit, and in all likelihood, he would have won, because according to the contract he has with Disney, he can say whatever he wants. Jimmy Kimmel had complete creative control over that show, and he could say what he wants, make fun of who he wants, go after who he wants to, and that was the agreement that he signed with Disney. So for them to violate that and pull his show off the air because Brendan Carr made a very thinly veiled threat on some cop podcast somewhere was in clear violation of his contract. So they put him back on the air, knowing that it potentially puts their NFL deal at risk, to stop the bleeding, because these people were losing money from every orifice, right? Now the funny thing is that they expect these people who've all canceled all their shit to come back. It's not happening. Respectfully, it's not happening.
Unless they come back and hit me, oh yeah, we'll give you Disney Plus for like $199 for the next year. Maybe I'll think about it then. But I was paying $26 a month for Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus, and I just realized I barely use these platforms at all. The only reason I kept Disney Plus around is because, again, I'm a Marvel stan, and I like just having the option to be able to go and rewatch Marvel movies at will whenever I want to, as many times as I want to. But I don't even do that. For real. So I get to save $26 a month. If Disney want these customers back, if Disney want these coins back, they're going to have to come back and earn this shit back, bro. I'm trying to tell you, man. They're going to have to come out and publicly acknowledge the fuck shit that they was doing, right? And apologize for it, because that's a slap in the face to everybody. More than that, they're going to have to come out with some heat. I'm trying to tell you, they're going to have to put their big boy pants on and get their thinking caps on, because I'm telling you, that's the only way niggas is coming back. Like that Avengers Doomsday, man, I'm trying to tell you, that shit better be heat. That shit better slap. That shit better be fire. Because if they gonna get involved and step into all this fascism nonsense and get in bed with this fucking lunatic and then have the nerve to drop a stinker with Avengers Doomsday, it's dead.
Well, would you look at that? Jimmy Kimmel is coming back on the air tomorrow night, and all it took was 5 days of intense public pressure and about $4 billion lost. For those boneheaded execs over at Disney, over at ABC, ESPN, Hulu, wherever, to finally use those brains that apparently are worth the salaries they're being paid to make a common sense decision, which was to say, fuck Donald Trump. Jimmy Kimmel said nothing wrong, and he's not going anywhere. And of course, the only one of those three things that I said that they actually said was the last one, because they didn't say fuck Donald Trump. They're still very, very terrified of him. In the letter that they put out there, it's very much walking on eggshells. Pathetic. They also did not really stick up for the concept of free speech at all. They were pretty much just being like, we had some good conversations. AKA, they saw how much people were freaking out and how much people were taking their money away from them, and that pretty much got the gears turning. So with all of that said, tune in to Jimmy Kimmel tomorrow. It's gonna be a doozy, I'm sure. Comment below what you think, follow me for more, and most importantly, continue showing Disney, ABC, Hulu, ESPN, Sinclair Media Group, Nexstar, and every corporation, every organization that is involved with this, right? Continue stepping on their necks and telling them where they can shove it. And one more thing I want to say, just to round this all out, do not ever let somebody try to discourage you into thinking that boycotting, that protesting, that speaking out, that demanding accountability from those that do wrong doesn't work, because we're seeing time and time again right now that it does. The only language these people, these corporations understand is money. And now, well, they don't like that we can understand what they're saying and that we're getting pretty fluent too. So keep it up, y'all. Keep it up. It's working. And be sure to comment below what you think and share this with
Donald Trump's worst nightmare just came true, as Jimmy Kimmel is back and his first guest is amazing. Now, as you know, Jimmy Kimmel was just suspended by ABC after the FCC pressured ABC and basically gave them an ultimatum to do something or they will. Well, now ABC has changed their mind and lifted the suspension, and Jimmy Kimmel is back tomorrow. And his first guest is none other than California Governor Newsom. Yes, that's how this is going to go down, and it's tomorrow, and Donald Trump is going to flip out. First off, all of MAGA is already losing their minds on social media. They can't believe that this is happening right now. But this shows the power we actually have. Make no mistake, ABC is responding to all of the protests, all the cancellations, all the subscription cancellations, the lack of people going to Disney. This is the power that we have. And now our reward is we get to see Donald Trump have a complete meltdown on social media tonight.
Jimmy Kimmel is officially coming back on air. And let's be real, this isn't because ABC or Disney suddenly grew a heart. This comeback happened because we, the people, applied a ton of pressure. Money started bleeding, and Disney had no choice but to bring him back. Before I break this down, make sure to follow, comment, and share so we can keep these conversations alive. Don't forget to hit the link in the bio to follow me everywhere else, just in case this app starts leaning just a certain little way that we might agree with, right? Yeah. Here's the truth. Disney owns ABC, and while they were out here talking about thoughtful conversations with Kimmel, what was really going on was probably panic. They lost billions of dollars in just a few days. Why? Well, because A, they launched a new streaming app for the ESPN that they poured millions of dollars into. They also paid top dollar to bring WWE shows onto the app, monthly events that cost a fortune. Add all of that up, and this past month has been brutally financial. So when Kimmel got pulled, advertisers started running, affiliates started grumbling, and Disney's bottom line took a beating. I mean, people stopped showing up for events, for Disney, for premieres as well. That's why Kimmel is back. Not because ABC and Jimmy had a calm sit down, but because Deep Pocket said, hey, fix this now. But here's where it gets a little bit nastier. Sinclair Broadcast Group, one of the biggest MAGA-loving corporations in media, has flat out said that they will not air Jimmy Kimmel Live on their ABC stations, and instead they'll replace it with their own news programming. They are demanding Kimmel apologize to Charlie Kirk's family and even make a donation to Turning Point USA before they'll put him back on air. Now, think about how disgusting that is. A broadcaster using its power to silence a comedian unless he kneels to their political agenda. That's not about accountability. That's about control. And Sinclair has been a MAGA mouthpiece for years, pumping out right-wing propaganda under the guise of local news. Now, here's how I see it. Kimmel's return is proof that the people still have power. We have power. But Sinclair refusing to air him, that shows you exactly what's at stake. They don't want balance. They don't want freedom of speech. They want loyalty to one political side, and they're willing to strong-arm the media to get it. So yeah, Disney caved because money talked, but Sinclair, they're showing us exactly how nasty and partisan they really are. And if we don't keep pushing back, their version of news becomes the only thing people hear.
Jimmy Kimmel is out of timeout. He was suspended for about a week after he made some comments about Charlie Kirk's assassination. He'll be back on air, but not on every household's television because Sinclair Broadcast Group, which owns a good number of ABC stations across the country, Sinclair has said, we are still not going to air Jimmy Kimmel. Instead, they are going to run news programming. So Sinclair still not happy with him, but apparently Jimmy had a little timeout. He had a little talking to, and now he'll be back on TV.
What's up, amazing and beautiful souls? So guys, in today's video, we're going to talk about Jimmy Kimmel himself. His return on TV after a week of suspension. You know what? The ABC and the parent company Disney thought that they are going to get rid of Jimmy Kimmel. They never thought of Jimmy Kimmel as a very big influencer with big supporters, big fans behind him. So guys, yesterday, actually, I was heading to sleep and then I see a post from ABC and I was like, oh man, why should you bring such an update at this particular time and point? And then I was like, oh my God, let me just rest and I'll come back and talk about this tomorrow, which is today. So, my good people, on Tuesday, Jimmy Kimmel will be back on TV, the American TVs, their favorite shows, and it's a big win. So Jimmy Kimmel's and ABC's story has taught so many people a lesson. You know, the power belongs to the people. Power belongs to who? To the people. At this point, ABC had already lost over millions of money because customers were canceling, and not only canceling subscriptions, but also these particular cruise ship trips that were upcoming. And you know, the loss was massive that they could not continue keeping quiet. They had to go back and start talking with, or actually they had to go back to the meetings and talk with Jimmy Kimmel. So when Jimmy Kimmel's come back, of course, he's not going to talk trash about anything, and of course they've already agreed on what they are going to put outside there. But remember, Jimmy Kimmel is a comedian. He jokes about everything and anything. For him, it's never that serious. It's not all about politics. He actually makes a lot of people at least laugh. You know, in this world, the economy is so high, especially even the tariffs also be it in America, be it in Kenya, be it in Asia. My God, tariff is so high that, people really need someone to make them laugh and forget their problems a little bit. And Jimmy Kimmel was one of those people that actually helped the people of America smile again, even after going through tough economic times. And the censorship that had been shown in America by, of course, Trump through the ABC. But I don't know whose fault is that. But at the end of the day, you should always listen to your customers, not other people. For them, they bowed down to the executive, and it's not the executive who is buying their products, it is the customers, the normal citizens of America, the middle class, the high class, the low class, all of them. And even outside America, they had customers. So Jimmy Kimmel, oh my God, this guy has a fan base. He has trust among, in America, people really trust him. And I guess even with the brands that he has already worked with, he normally sells out and markets these brands so well. And remember, he has been there for 22 good years just in that talk show as a host and as a brand himself. Who thought that people will come to the streets in New York, in California, chant USA, bring back Jimmy Kimmel, that's not fair. Why would you silence somebody that was just trying to bring out a joke? He wasn't that serious, but and it was crazy, I can tell you. But I've also learned so many things through all these stories here and there. Americans have come out to react, and of course, we've already played the videos, we've listened to them. I don't know what you think about what Americans are saying, but to some extent, I'm really agreeing, because at this point, Americans feel like it's not all about bringing back Jimmy Kimmel. We already know you. That is your intentions. You only listen to your executive. Be it that, if you had not lost the millions and millions of dollars, you wouldn't have brought him back. But since you have already lost so much, then that's the point. You want to bring him up, to bring him back, so that he can in turn, make the lost customers, or those customers that had already canceled their subscription, to actually subscribe again. That's what they want. So we don't know what will happen in the next few days, in the next few months. Probably when that time of contract comes, and Jimmy Kimmel, according to the agreement. But you know what? I guess, because ABC said that they went back to the table, sat down and talked with Jimmy Kimmel.